Hello, everyone. My name is Fabian Zimmer. I'm a group product manager in Enablement, and I'm joined by Nick, the engineering manager for GitLab Geo. We're going to talk about the 14.9 outlook for the Geo team. As a quick recap, Geo is GitLab's solution for distributed teams and disaster recovery. So we're going to talk a lot about replicating data, avoiding data loss. Let's get started. The first thing I'd like to highlight is that we are going to continue working on general availability for Geo object storage replication. So this is a quite interesting feature. Object storage is often used by customers to store files that are generated by GitLab. And in order to replicate those data from a primary to a secondary site, many customers also rely on cloud vendors who have object storage replication mechanisms between different regions. But sometimes that's not available, mainly because maybe a region doesn't actually support this, the vendor doesn't support it, or you're an on-premise customer and you use an object storage implementation, but you're not actually using a cloud vendor. Then you have to rely on a different replication mechanism between storage buckets. And GitLab Geo allows you to replicate data that is stored in an S3 compatible object storage bucket between different sites. This is currently in beta, and we're continuing to work towards general availability. There are essentially three things that need to happen in order for us to be satisfied that it meets our quality standards. The one is to be able to verify files that are stored in object storage. This is important to avoid data integrity issues. The other one is to replicate deletion events from the primary side to the secondary side to avoid orphan data and data bloat. And then we also want to ensure that the performance of this feature is adequate for our reference architectures using different cloud vendors, for example, AWS, GCP, and Azure. Did I forget anything?
No, that sounds great. Thank you.
Super. You want to take the next one about Rails 6 many database support?
Yeah, the next thing we're looking forward to in 14.9 is to wrap up the work that we've been doing to switch the geo tracking database to take advantage of the multi-databases support that Rails 6 offers. So we've done a lot of work towards this already. Next up, we are making some changes in Omnibus to ensure that Omnibus properly supports multiple databases, and that will unblock us to be able to then move the tracking database configuration into make it better integrated with Omnibus, and then get rid of some of the legacy configuration and code around that. And so ultimately, while this is very much a behind the scenes change, it will make it a lot easier to maintain this feature going forward. It helps with some of the decomposition efforts that we're doing, and ensures that we're kind of handling multiple databases in a consistent manner. And I think ultimately, with improved maintainability comes our ability to deliver value to customers faster.
Yeah, thanks for highlighting that. I think that's a great point. Making things easier to configure, adhering to the newest standards in Rails makes it easier for our engineers to do their job. That then is manifested in easier configurations for customers, but also higher velocity. So I'm really glad we're addressing that. The next thing is moving CI job artifact replication to our self-service framework. As a reminder, Geo self-service framework is our new standard for replicating and verifying data. So by moving job artifacts from our old way of handling it to the self-service framework, we reduce the technical complexity of Geo overall, and it also enables verification for this data type, making sure that there's no data integrity issues because something failed in actually replicating it from A to B. That's ongoing. We are pretty close to shipping this. This is unfortunately going to very likely miss 14.8, but we're continuing to do this, and overall that brings us closer to 100% replication and verification. In our elaborate ping pong of features, I'll hand it over to you.
Sure. Yeah, so we are also on the tail end of another epic. Ian's done Ian and Nick Westbury, our quality engineer counterpart, have done a great job updating the GeoQA tests to pass. They hadn't gotten a lot of attention for a while, and a lot of them were failing due to various reasons. And so they went through that, got all the QA tests passing. Then also we're able to leverage the GitLab environment toolkit to be able to spin up Geo environments using our reference architectures inside of pipelines, test zero downtime upgrades, as well as run the QA tests against that. So this is a level of testing that we dreamed about as recently as a year or two ago. And being able to run the GeoQA tests against environments that have been spun up using Get inside of our pipelines, either as part of a scheduled pipeline or triggered using in the Omnibus project using the latest build is now possible. And this has just really improved the efficiency and quality of and thoroughness of our testing. Taking something that we often had to set aside an entire day for and record a demo to test that you could do a zero downtime upgrade on Geo and then run the full suite of QA tests against that. Now we can just run that in a regular automated fashion. So, so the work that we're doing in 14.9 is to just document that the Get Geo pipeline is available and how to use it and when to use it. We also want to automate the testing of Geo failover, so we can test zero downtime upgrades. We can do the end-to-end test to make sure replication and some of the basic Geo functionality is working. Now we want to automate testing of a Geo failover on our reference architectures, which is a critical operation that customers rely on to work. And we want to make sure that any changes that we make to the code base or how GitLab is deployed are still do not break our capability to fail over. So really excited about that. And then we also just want to make sure that our own scheduled pipelines are more robust so that we're automatically alerted anytime there's an issue there and that we're responding to any potential issues that might affect customers once a new release comes out.
Yeah, thanks for sharing this. I'm super excited about it. I think for our customers, this really means higher quality, fewer bugs that are not noticed during the development lifecycle. And that's particularly relevant for business critical operations like failovers. So I'm really super excited to see this. And yeah, we'll hope to wrap that up in the next release. The next item I'll quickly talk about is that we've shipped our unified URL and proxying feature in GitLab 14.6. So we are continuing to iterate on this, improving it. And there are a few key improvements that we would like to make. One of those improvements is to allow secondary proxying with separate URLs. So there's some work going on there. And we're quite excited to see this continue because there's a new feature. There's still a few things that we can improve, and that's going to happen and continue to happen in the upcoming release 14.9, and then also the next one after that. But yeah, that's exciting. I think this is iteration in action, so it's really fun. And lastly, one thing that I would like to highlight is something that we're a little bit in the discovery phase of. So we're starting to pick this up, which is to improve the overall geometrics and also exposing a potential dashboard for systems administrators that includes key metrics for Geo, specifically around replication and verification performance and replication lag. Often Geo is tied to recovery point objectives and recovery time objectives, and having better insight on how much is the Geo secondary set behind in terms of replication will really help systems administrators understand if their Geo system is working well. There's also a number of UX research initiatives and improvements that we are working on. For example, the jobs to be done definitions for backup and restore, which are proceeding, which is really great. We'd like to spend more time improving our backups and restore in the future. I'm not going to go into all those details. Check out the planning issue if you're interested. But yeah, I think we're very excited for all of the work that's ongoing, and see you at the next one. Bye-bye.
Thanks.